I currently cannot open a social media app without these books being like blasted into my face. I am literally physically wounded. The only series that I want to continue after reading all of these is... Hi everyone, it's me. In today's video, we are going to just read some super viral books. There have been a few like BookTok, Goodreads viral books that I have just been so curious about over the past couple of weeks. I currently cannot open a social media app without these books being like blasted into my face. So we're gonna read them because number one, I am just a very curious being, and number two, I just kind of want to read some fun books right now. All three of the viral books that I'm going to read today, or not today, in this video, are, surprise, surprise, romanticities, and are actually, in fact, all first books in series. So we're gonna start 3 new series in this video because it's not like I'm already in the middle of way too many series to begin with. The first book we're gonna read, I don't think this is gonna come as a surprise to anyone, is Quicksilver by Callie Hart. If you have been anywhere on social media, on BookTok, BookTube, whatever you use for your social media, you've probably seen this book pop up at least like 7 times. This is a romantasy. I believe it is like fae based. It has a very unappealing cover. As a girly who 100% judges books by their covers, this is just, it's not something I would normally pick up. Like if I saw a book that had this on the cover, like this man, whoever this is, who I'm probably gonna meet soon, it's just like, it's not my style. But I've heard a lot of things about this book, good and bad, and I've just gotten way too curious. I need to read it. So let's just read the book description from Goodreads because I honestly don't even know what this is about other than the fact that it's a fae romantasy. Okay. Are you ready? Do not touch the sword. Do not turn the key. Do not open the gate. In the land of the unforgiving desert, there isn't much a girl wouldn't do for a glass of water. Okay, so we're gonna feel like dry desert vibes in this book. 24-year-old Saris Fane is good at keeping secrets. No one knows about the strange power she possesses or the fact that she has been picking pockets and stealing from the Undying Queen's reservoirs for as long as she can remember. Oh no, this is giving Red Queen powerless. No, this is not a good start. But a secret is like a knot. Sooner or later, it is bound to come undone. When Saris comes face to face with death himself, she inadvertently reopens a gateway between realms and is transported to a land of ice and snow. The Fae have always been the stuff of myth, of legend, of nightmares, but it turns out they're real. And Saris has landed herself right in the middle of a centuries-long conflict that might just get her killed. The first of her kind to tread in the frozen mountains of Yovelia in over 1,000 years. Saris mistakenly binds herself to Kingfisher, a handsome fae warrior. Okay, we've put a name to the face. This is Kingfisher. Isn't that a type of a bird? Did you like picture a bird every time I read the word Kingfisher, but that's okay. Hopefully I get over that. Kingfisher, who has secrets and nefarious agendas of his own, he will use her alchemist's magic to protect his people, no matter what it costs him or her. Death has a name. It's Kingfisher of the Aegon Gate. His past is murky. His attitude stinks. And he's the only way Saris is going to make it home. Be careful of the deals you make, dear child. The devil is in the details. Okay, so we started out like Red Queen / powerless, and I was like, please not another copycat of Red Queen, because we got the pickpockets, we got the hidden power, we got stealing from like the royal family. That was a little bit triggering for me, but it sounds like the story kind of like goes on to something else. Like it's not trial based, it sounds like from this description. There's some like alchemist magic, which is actually not a magic system I have read a lot. I feel like it's not very common in books, I feel like, or maybe it is, but just not in the books that I've read recently. So I'm kind of excited to read that, like a more like alchemy magic system. That sounds cool. And yeah, hidden powers, thief. We've got that trope down already. That's Kingfisher. We're gonna go into it. How long is this book? 588 pages. I thought this would be like a 300 to 400 page easy start to a series, but it looks like we've got a long one ahead of us. But okay, Quicksilver. Let's get into it. up reading almost 100 pages of Quicksilver yesterday. I read, hold on, 94 pages. What are my thoughts so far? I know I went into this pretty skeptical, but honestly, so far, it's pretty fun. And it is pretty unique to itself. Although the world, the story, and the characters, like, there's always gonna be similar tropes. There's only so much you can do to like be completely unique. There are definitely similarities between our FMC versus like Mare, Peyton, Lila from A Darker Shade of Magic, Vin from Mistborn. Like, while there are similarities there, I think it's just like, it's a good foundation to like build a story and a world around. And I think so far, I'm pretty impressed with the mood of our world. I'm into it. It's addicting. It's definitely got that like viral book talk feel in terms of like when you start reading it, you start devouring. But I do have a couple of criticisms just like right off the bat. So the first thing is the writing style. I think it's really super easy and accessible to read. Again, it is that like addictive, fast-paced sort of like writing that's super easy to devour and consume. But then on the other hand, in a weird way, I feel like the writing is also super wordy. While it's very practical, it also takes a long time to say one thing, like to describe something. It seems really wordy, like you read an entire page and you're like, okay, but what did I learn on that page? And then my other criticism so far is like, we have had a couple of action scenes already, and in the action scenes, I am such a literal, like physical person that like when I read action scenes, I really like to picture it in my head, like, hey, you're grabbing this and then you're swiping it to the side and like stabbing him over here and then kicking down there. Like, I like picturing exactly what's happening and like knowing like in the combat where everyone's limbs are and like what everyone's holding and stuff. I feel like the action in this does not make sense. I cannot comprehend what is going on during the fight scenes, like where the limbs are doesn't make sense, the directions of everything. I feel like there's continuity issues in the action sequences here. Like, I cannot picture them and I cannot make sense of them. And I don't know if it's user error. I don't know if it's just like I'm not getting it, but like I feel like I don't understand. So I kind of stopped trying to like physically understand what was going on, because I feel like I started this book reading it so slowly because I was trying to make sense of everything, and I was like, at this pace, I'm never gonna finish this book. Because it's not making sense, and I'm spending like 5 minutes trying to figure out like where her arm is swiping. So I stopped trying to overanalyze that, and I'm just kind of like going in for the vibes now. At this point in the book, without spoiling things, like we've kind of started our journey, I think. Like, we're starting to get introduced into like the Fae world. There's definitely a lot of like unknowns so far that I'm waiting to be answered in the coming pages. So yeah, that's Quicksilver so far. Honestly, don't hate it yet. Don't hate it. I was just expecting to not really love it, and it's not disappointing me too much. Other than like the few issues, it's still really fun to read. So I don't know, we're just gonna keep reading it.
Hey, I heard you got a new best friend. Yeah, it hurts a bit, I won't pretend that it doesn't matter that you're with someone else. That's how it's supposed to be. If I'm unable to make you happy, then
I am at around like the 250 page mark. I think it's about like 40% way into the book. I need to give you some thoughts. This is like a critique that I never give to books, okay? Like, never. But I feel like this is moving too fast. Who has ever said that? Ever. It's definitely more common to critique books for like moving too slow, but this one is way too fast. Like, at least like 2 different ways that I'm about to talk to you about. The first way it's going too fast is the romance, and it's also like not feeling like romance. It's definitely very like lust first, and that's not my thing. You guys know that's not my thing. Generally, like sometimes when we get like, you know, enemies to lovers situations, I get that sometimes it is like more of a physical attraction first before you like learn that your enemy is not actually your enemy. But I feel like I have like a threshold, like I have a range of the lust versus love ratio that I can handle, and this is too much lust over love. It's not making the cut for me right now. I feel like things just like started moving way too quickly in a physical way, and I'm like not about that life. So yeah, the romance is kind of for me right now. I also just think our FMC Saris, I'm not gonna like say too many details because obviously this is a spoiler-free reading vlog, but just overall I feel like she's coming into her powers too quickly. The FMC discovers her powers and then all of a sudden she just like masters everything and it's just like all of a sudden good at everything. Like it doesn't make sense. We need to have more time of like struggle and not knowing how to do things. I was worried that like seeing the name Kingfisher, I would just like literally keep picturing the bird in my head, like the woodpecker. I'm pretty sure it's like a woodpecker type of a bird. But thank goodness they actually, or most of the time, just call him Fisher. It's better than Kingfisher. Anyways, I am like, you know, I am enjoying most of the experience, I think. But yeah, just a couple things started moving a bit too quick and I was like, not my fave. But we're gonna continue reading. Guys, why did it have to get so smutty? I feel like Quicksilver is starting to feel like ACOTAR, but like dark romance. Like if ACOTAR was a dark romance, it would be this book. And I feel like that's a good thing for some people. But for me, I'm really not feeling the romance, guys. The story is still interesting though. The story part of it is still interesting. A little messy. I'm also missing a couple of characters that I thought were gonna be main characters, but like we just have not seen them for the past like hundreds of pages and I kind of miss them. I wish we saw more of them, but yeah, I'm really not digging this romance. Finally getting outside and touching some grass. I have about 150 or just over that pages left to read in Quicksilver. I'm gonna go to the park that I usually go to like sit and read, and hopefully I can finish this book. Yeah, that was just, I just finished it. I feel like my brain is just like, what the heck just happened? That was 670 pages long. I thought it was 588 because that's what it was showing up as on Goodreads. Apparently 670 pages. Couple things. I feel like I wanted the book to go more into the alchemy side of things because that's the part I found like interesting and unique about it, but it kind of went into it, but it also just tried to be ACOTAR. Like the more the book went on, I was like, oh, you're just trying to be ACOTAR, but also throwing in like every other fantastical fantasy element in there. It just felt like too much. Like it just kept going on and on and on and on. And I feel like maybe this book might have been more successful if it was like literally split into 3 different books. But yeah, I didn't like the spice in it. I didn't like the messiness of it. It was too much. And I don't think I'm gonna continue the series. But let's go home and we will start our next book talk viral book. We are back home. That was an experience reading the end of Quicksilver. Our next book, however, I have better hopes for, and that is Spark of the Everflame by Penn. This is a book that I was looking it up and apparently it came out last summer and there are already 3 books out in this series, 3 out of 4. But I think this book became really popular, like really viral, maybe around a month or 2 ago. And then I noticed that it's actually getting re-released, like traditionally published, because I think the first publish of this book was independent and now it's like being picked up by a traditional publisher. And so I actually received this as like an ARC kind of a thing. I've been really curious about this one because I've heard pretty decent things about Spark of the Everflame. It's another romantasy. Let's see what this one is about. I'm honestly kind of right now like not in the mood to pick up another romantasy after reading Quicksilver, but this one I think, yeah, this one's 438 pages. Let's read the book description on Goodreads. When old secrets catch fire, everything will burn. In a mortal world colonized by the gods and ruled over by the descended, their cruel offspring, DM Bellator, yearns to escape the insular life of her poor village. Her mother's sudden disappearance and the discovery of a dangerous secret about her past offer DM an unexpected opportunity to enter the dark world of descended royalty and unlock the web of mysteries her mother left behind. With the dying king's handsome, mysterious heir watching her every move, and a ruthless mortal alliance recruiting her to join the growing civil war, DM will have to navigate the unwritten rules of love, power, and politics in order to save her family and all of mortal kind. Spark of the Everflame is the first book in the Kindred's Curse saga, a 4-book fantasy romance series. This slow burn, enemies to lovers epic is perfect for lovers of magic, dragons, angst and banter, and will appeal to fans of books like A Court of Thorns and Roses, From Blood and Ash, Guild, and The Serpent and the Wings of Night. Okay. I mean, just from that book description, again, it doesn't sound like anything like over the top that interesting or that unique to read about, but I think it's just gonna be all in how the story plays out, how the creativity shows through like the more individual events and scenes that occur in this book, and then also how the writing style portrays everything. So yeah, honestly, it doesn't sound too exciting. But I do like ACOTAR, and they said this book will appeal to fans of ACOTAR. I haven't read For Blood and Ash, Guild, and I didn't like Serpent and the Wings of Night. So we're kind of 50-50 in terms of if I'll like this book, according to the book description on Goodreads. Hopefully we will enjoy this one more than Quicksilver. Let's get into it. I read about 80 pages yesterday, 80 to 90 pages of Spark of the Everflame, and so far, just like right off the bat, I can already tell that I'm gonna like it better. I think just like something about the writing. I mentioned Quicksilver was written in that like very like devourable type of writing style. Spark of the Everflame, while still like very easily read, like it's not written in complex English at all, it just feels more like put together, like more thought out, more structured. It does like flow more elegantly in terms of like, I don't know, sentence structure. It just seems higher quality so far in the first like 80 pages. I also think the world just feels more fleshed out. Like it feels more like immersive, 3-dimensional, where the Quicksilver world was more just like 2-dimensional, just vibes, which is fine because Quicksilver was so like plot driven. I think it was like, maybe it was okay that the world wasn't that like well built, but as someone who reads fantasy, to like immerse into another world and like really get that feeling of being somewhere else, I'm really, really, really enjoying Spark of the Everflame a lot more. But that being said, I did enjoy Quicksilver for the first like 50% of it, or I don't know if it was exactly 50% of it, but I do remember like I did enjoy the first little bit of Quicksilver, and then it just kept getting like messier and messier and more chaotic, and stuff started to not make sense. The magic didn't make sense. I absolutely did not like the male main character in Quicksilver because he was just like mean and a bully. It was just like lust driven. I'm so far on Team Spark of the Everflame if I were to compare the two, but we're just kind of like biting into it right now. Definitely have to read more before I like make my final judgment, but yeah, so far just the world seems a lot more like well thought out. It's my preference so far, but we'll continue reading, of course. I am 55% of the way through now. So far, it's okay. I think I was really loving the writing style at the beginning, but where Quicksilver was like super, super fast, this is pretty slow paced. It is really, really slow. Yeah, I'm 55% of the way through, so I'm like over 200 pages in, and I feel like not too much has happened. I feel like stuff has happened, but we're still kind of setting everything up, is what it feels like. We're not in the bulk of the action or anything. I feel like we're still just like slowly learning things, slowly setting things up. And so yeah, things are going a little slow. And I don't know, maybe a little bit bored, but I don't know if it's because Quicksilver kind of like burnt me out in terms of romantasy and now I'm like trying to get into another one, or if it's just like actually really slow and a little bit boring. I still really like the writing. I just wish the story would like pick up the pace and like move somewhere. It's also so far like not too unique of a story. It's really following that Red Queen path where there are like two divided societies, like one magical, one non-magical. Main character gets entangled with the royal family, and there's also a rebellion that one of her close friends from childhood is a part of, so she gets like twisted into that as well. Those aren't spoilers, that's literally just the premise of the book, but yeah, it's not too different than like everything I've read before, but I don't know, we'll keep reading. We'll see what happens. We'll see if it like hooks me in and gets better. I also wanted to point something out. Another thing that I just have to compare to Quicksilver, because I just read Quicksilver, is where Quicksilver was like so spicy, like too spicy for me, and the type of spice that I don't like. I finally like in my head, like it's clicked in terms of like what spice I like and what spice I don't like. So we have had a couple of like intimate scenes, you could say, in Sparkle the Everflame so far, but the way it's written is more like about the feelings and intentions of what's going on versus like the actual detailed bits of like body parts and like what the body parts are doing in like a very physical, literal sense. You know what I mean? Like that's the type of spice that I'm like, don't need it. This type of writing is, yeah, it's just more about the intention. It's more about the feeling and the angst and the yearning. And I like that a lot better. It's more subtle. But anyways, I have a feeling that things are gonna pick up. I don't think we're even like near the bulk of the story and the action of it. And like even the romance, just knowing how the patterns of these romanticides go, I feel like we haven't even started like the main romance that's going to happen, if it's going in the direction that I think it's gonna go because of like tropes and patterns. 200 pages left. We'll see what happens. Okay, so I finished Spark of the Everflame yesterday. I devoured this book, which is why I feel like I didn't give you too many like updates while reading it, but I literally just devoured it. So after I updated you last, it definitely got better. Like it started picking up a little bit more. I feel like this was not a fast-paced book whatsoever. Like even when it picked up, it was still just kind of like minor slow things happening. So I feel like overall, maybe the pacing of this book was a little bit strange, but I overall still really enjoyed it. I think I really vibed with the writing. I think the world was also interesting. It was definitely a more interesting world than the Quicksilver world, which is again, I keep thinking back to Quicksilver and I'm like, I'm so disappointed that I didn't enjoy it because I feel like the premise of it had so much potential. Like I wanted to see that alchemy side of the world. I don't know, something about the Quicksilver world did not feel alive. Like the places we went to in Quicksilver just seemed like names. Like the places didn't seem to have full vibes. Like it didn't feel immersive. It didn't feel like, yeah, like alive with like people and citizens in them. Like it just felt really, really flat. It felt like a place that only our main characters were in and no one else. No one else is alive in that world. It's just like the 5 characters we're following, where in Spark of the Everflame, you really get more like depth in the world and you see like how these things are affecting the people who are not main characters and just like literally like extras in this world. So it feels more alive in that way because you get more of a sense of like other people who live there. Also, like not to just like continue to directly compare Spark of the Everflame to Quicksilver, but like that's what I'm doing because I've read the books back to back. I've heard a lot of people say that Quicksilver is a slow burn and like there is nothing slow burn about Quicksilver, okay? The 2 like romantic leads like literally just start full out doing it, full physical relationship within the first like, I don't know, 100 to 200 pages. And like for me, that's like really, really fast, especially because they didn't even like each other at that point. So yeah, both of these books were enemies to lovers. And in Quicksilver, they started as enemies, obviously, but then they become like physical lovers while they are still just like no emotional connection to each other. They don't have soft spots for each other. They're just like completely rude to each other, like mean, and not in like a cute bantery way, like literally mean. And then they just start like, they just start but you literally, like, you don't even like each other. Like, you don't, I don't need you to love each other immediately, okay? But they didn't even like each other, and like some of it gets explained at the end, but like when it got explained, I was like, that's literally not an excuse to be mean to someone. I don't know. Maybe some people feel different. I know a lot of people loved Quicksilver and like love the romance in it, but it's just like, it's just not my taste. Let's say. I don't want to yuck on anyone's yum. I never want to yuck on anyone's yum, but it just wasn't for me. I personally loved the enemies to lovers in Spark of the Everflame a lot better because, I mean, this is slow burn. Like, pretty much nothing happened between the two romantic leads in this book. Like, one short moment, but not even all the way, if you know what I mean. Nothing happened in this book, but you start to see the emotional connection between the two main characters, and you're like, okay, like that's where I get on board, where you get like the emotional connection building, and you maybe get a little bit of a tease of the physical, but then like you get more of the yearning and the angst that way, at least in my opinion. I definitely enjoyed the romance in this better because it was just more like personal and emotional versus just like, hey, I like your body, let's do it, but I hate your guts. Like, again, I know a lot of people do like that, but it's just not my thing. So overall, I really enjoyed Spark of the Everflame. I think also like the epilogue chapter in this book got me really excited to continue on in the series, because I think while this story in the first book was not the most new, let's say, it definitely follows the romantasy blueprint. Like it's nothing too unique. I think from, yeah, the way this book ended in the epilogue, it's still kind of like cliche, but I'm excited to read on. Like I'm excited to see like where several things go. I'm definitely going to continue in this series. This viral book has convinced me, where Quicksilver did not. I did actually start the third viral book talk book that we'll be reading in this video, and that is Zodiac Academy. I guess the first book is called The Awakening. This is by Peckham and Susanne Valenti. This is just a series that I have heard so much about, good and bad. I've seen a lot of people on YouTube and TikTok read this, and then also a lot of my friends from the book club are currently like in the middle of this series. So I'm like, I need to know. I need to know what this is about. I have had a lot of people who like know me and know my book taste tell me I'm gonna very highly dislike this book, but sometimes I just get so curious, and even when people are like, no, you're gonna hate that, I just feel like I still need to experience it for myself just to like confirm. We're starting the Zodiac Academy. I only read like, I don't know, 20 pages yesterday, because I did finish Spark of the Everflame yesterday and then just like kind of nibbled at this as a start. But if you don't know what this is about, let's get my phone so we can read what Goodreads says. You have been selected to attend Zodiac Academy, where your star sign defines your destiny. If you're one of the Fae, elemental magic is in your blood, and apparently it's in ours. As twins born in the month of Gemini, we are a rare breed, even in this academy of supernatural a-holes. Changelings were outlawed hundreds of years ago, but I guess our birth parents didn't get the memo, which means we're totally unprepared for the ruthless world of Fae. Air, fire, water, earth. No one has ever harnessed all four of them until we arrived, and it hasn't made us any friends so far. As the rarest elementals ever known, we're already a threat to the four celestial heirs, the popular, vindictive bullies who happen to be some of the hottest guys we've ever seen. It doesn't help that they're the most dangerous beasts in the academy, and probably on Earth too. Our fates are intertwined, but they want us gone. They've only got until the lunar eclipse to force us out, and they'll stop at nothing to succeed. We never knew we had a birthright to live up to, but now that we do, we intend to claim our throne. We can't expect any help from the faculty when it comes to defending ourselves, so if the dragon shifters want some target practice, the werewolves want someone to hunt, or the vampires fancy a snack, then we have to be ready. But we've been looking after each other for a long time, and fighting back is in our blood. Today's horoscope: totally screwed. I can tell that this book is going to be like completely unserious just from the way this is written. Like, how can you take that seriously? I kind of got that too as I was reading like the 20 pages I did last night. I was like, is this real? Like, is this actually a published book? It definitely, I did not have that like Wattpad phase a lot of people had. I definitely dove into it a little bit when I was a teenager. I read like 1 or 2 Twilight fanfics back in the day, but I wasn't like so into Wattpad as I know a lot of the girlies out there were. And most people describe Zodiac Academy as like Wattpad style writing. And I'm like, although I don't have that much experience with Wattpad style writing, I kind of get what it is. Like I get the vibe, I understand. Quicksilver I feel like was also that like Wattpad style type writing, but like Zodiac Academy, even more so. Yeah, so I started reading this. I've met the 2 twins who are the main characters, Tori and Darcy, and I think they're just like on the brink of being recruited into the school that they're going to. So they're like not quite into their magical powers yet. I don't think I've read anything about magic, but I know it's coming. I know they're going to this magic school. A lot of people describe this book as like Hogwarts, but spicy, which kind of scares me because I feel like Hogwarts should stay untouched. Even though I have read Manacled, that was for a YouTube experiment. What more is there to say? Zodiac Academy. Let's read it. Yeah, as expected, totally unserious. I don't think. Okay, so there are a lot of books that people call Wattpad style, like Fourth Wing, a lot of people say is like very Wattpad-like. A lot of like romance and romantasy in general, people accuse books of being like that. And I don't think I've ever read a book that has read so much like a fan fiction than this. The way things are written, so this book is written in first person, but the way like you get into these characters' heads, just like absolutely ridiculous. It's like when I was reading the like Goodreads summary of this book, that's pretty much what this book is. Like that's how this book is written, and it's I don't even know how to describe it other than it's like Wattpad-like. It's so not graceful. It's hard for me to get over that. And then yeah, just the stuff that's happening. So our twins did arrive at the school, and just like the stuff they're going through, like the initiation process, they've met those 4 heirs that are like threatening them or whatever. I think out of all 3 books I've read this week, Quicksilver started out strong and then just like fell apart for me. Spark of the Everflame started off strong, kind of like lagged a little bit in the middle and then ended strong. Zodiac Academy is not even starting strong. So I don't know, we're gonna keep reading it obviously. I have a feeling already that I'm not gonna like it, but hey, we tried, right? And that's what counts. But yeah, we're gonna keep going. What did I just read? So I have a band-aid on my finger because yesterday I was walking up the stairs and my arms were just like swinging so wildly. I don't know why, they were just like flailing around, but my hand hit the railing and my engagement ring was like diagonal or something, so it like punctured my middle finger on the side and there's this huge bruise growing from it, and my finger and my hand is a mess, and that is also how I feel about this book. I am literally physically wounded. Is there any actual connection or correlation as to why I wounded my finger while reading this book? No. But in my mind, they're both emotionally and physically hurting me. And guys, like I try not to like hate on books too much on this channel. You guys know that about me. I try and stay positive and find the good things about books that even I don't like. Usually I can see why other people would like books that I dislike, but I just... unless you're reading this book as like a literal parody, I just don't understand it. I just don't understand it. Everyone was just like horny for each other. Literally everyone. Students, professors, anyone, it doesn't matter. There were no rules in the school. Like everyone was just getting away with everything. Professors were making moves on students. Like This was a big mess. I, throughout reading it, just felt secondhand embarrassment for both of the Vega twins, the main characters, between the things that were happening to them to just like the way they were acting. I was literally cringing. People were just like naked randomly. It just kind of felt like, you know, in Vampire Diaries, you know that portion of Vampire Diaries that like really focused on twins and like Geminis and stuff like that? This book was, it felt like a fan fiction of Vampire Diaries, but gone very wrong. I wasn't a fan of the story. I wasn't a fan of the writing. I never want to read another Zodiac Academy book in my life. Never again. I know a lot of my friends are reading this series and like are invested in it, or like at least are like trying to get invested in it, and I can't fathom spending like one more second reading a page in this book. Again, you guys know me. That sounds so mean. That is so like not like my character to say, but I really just can't with this series. Yeah. Anyways, so just to recap what happened in this video, my overall ranking of the 3 BookTok viral books that I read, in last place with a 1 star. I wish I could give this 0 stars, but Goodreads doesn't allow me to do that. So with a 1 star, but really 0, Zodiac Academy. The only thing I liked about this book was maybe the premise of like a magic school based on Zodiac with a basis in astrology. Like that sounds pretty fun. I want a book like that that's not this. So if anyone knows of like a Zodiac star sign based school fantasy book, let me know, because I want to read that, but not this. Putting that away, I'm gonna delete that off of my Kindle. In second place was Quicksilver, which now after reading Zodiac Academy, I'm like, I loved Quicksilver. I loved it. Did I give it a 2 star? Yeah. I feel like I should raise it up to a 2.5. Because it's not just 1 star above Zodiac Academy, it's at least 1.5 above. And in first place, the only series that I want to continue after reading all of these is The Spark of the Everflame, which I gave 4 stars. You go, Penn. Thank you for writing Spark of the Everflame. Thank you to the BookTok users that promoted Spark of the Everflame. That's it. I'm gonna end this video here. I've had enough. If you liked this video, if you enjoyed me being in pain and just like losing my mind, I feel like I've lost my mind right now. If you enjoy seeing that, please leave me a like and a comment. Also, please like this video if you don't like seeing me in pain as well. Just leave me a like. Please. If you don't know what to comment down below, let me know what your favorite BookTok viral book is. Like a book that you saw on BookTok and read and actually liked. Let's fill the comment section with those. If you like me, subscribe, do that bell thing, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Yeah, you just be banished. Yes. Disappear. Yes. Success. We have been cleansed.